What is really happening behind the silence between Jungkook and Taehyung? And why does the pressure feel heavier than ever right now? What if the smiles you thought you understood were hiding questions no one dared to ask? And what if the silence between two of the most beloved idols in the world was not empty at all, but filled with weight, history, and emotions that even ARMY can feel without a single word being spoken? Before you read further, pause for a moment and ask yourself this. Have you noticed it too? If you have, don't keep it to yourself. Like this article, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of a story that feels far from over, because what you're about to read may change the way you see Jungkook and Taehyung forever. ARMY has always been known for its sharp intuition, its emotional sensitivity, and its ability to notice even the smallest shifts in tone, expression, and energy. For years, fans have celebrated the bond between Jungkook and Taehyung as something rare, something warm, something that seemed to exist beyond cameras and stages. Their laughter felt natural, their interactions effortless, and their presence together often gave fans a sense of comfort that words could not explain. But lately, a quiet question has been growing louder in the hearts of many. What is really happening between Jungkook and Taehyung? And why does it feel like an invisible pressure is slowly, silently building between them? The strange thing about this situation is that nothing dramatic has happened on the surface. There has been no official announcement, no public argument, no clear statement that something is wrong. And yet, ARMY feels it. The glances seem different. The spaces between moments feel longer. The warmth that once flowed so freely now appears measured, careful, almost guarded. It is this absence of clarity that makes the question more haunting, because silence often speaks louder than words ever could. For Jungkook and Taehyung, their journey together has never been simple. They grew up under the same spotlight, faced the same overwhelming expectations, and carried the same enormous responsibility on their shoulders as members of BTS. From a young age, they learned how to smile for the world while managing pressures most people could barely imagine. Over time, that shared experience created a bond that fans cherished deeply, but it also created a shared burden that only they could truly understand. When two people grow under such intense conditions, change is inevitable, and sometimes change does not come gently. ARMY remembers the early days, when their interactions felt spontaneous and unfiltered. Jungkook's playful energy often met Taehyung's unique charm in moments that felt almost accidental, like they were simply being themselves rather than performing for millions. Those moments became memories that fans replayed endlessly, finding comfort in the idea that amid the chaos of fame, something genuine still existed. But as time passed, as the world's eyes grew heavier and expectations sharper, those moments became fewer, or at least quieter. The question that now lingers is not whether Jungkook and Taehyung have changed, because change is natural and unavoidable. The real question is why that change feels heavy. Why does it feel like something unspoken sits between them? Something neither denial nor reassurance has been able to erase. ARMY has noticed that even when they stand side by side, there can be a subtle distance, a carefulness that wasn't always there before. It's not coldness, not hostility, but something far more complex and harder to define. Some fans describe it as emotional restraint, as if both are holding back parts of themselves. Others sense fatigue, the kind that comes not from physical exhaustion but from carrying too much for too long. And then there are those who wonder if the pressure of expectations, both internal and external, has slowly reshaped the way they relate to each other. When the world constantly projects narratives onto you, even the most genuine relationships can begin to feel fragile under the weight of interpretation. What makes this situation even more emotional is the deep affection ARMY still feels for both Jungkook and Taehyung, individually and together. Fans do not want drama, they want understanding. They don't want rumors, they want clarity, or at least reassurance that what they are sensing is not a fracture but a transition. Yet the lack of direct answers leaves room for imagination. And imagination, when fueled by concern, can become a source of quiet anxiety. There is also the reality that both Jungkook and Taehyung are no longer the teenagers who debuted years ago. They are adults who have grown in different directions, discovered different parts of themselves, and faced personal challenges away from the public eye. Growth can sometimes pull people apart before bringing them back together in a new way. But from the outside, Especially for fans who have followed every step, that period of distance can feel alarming, even painful. The silence surrounding this perceived tension only adds to its intensity. In an industry where every move is analyzed, the absence of explanation becomes its own kind of statement. ARMY is left to read between the lines, to search for meaning in small gestures, fleeting expressions, and moments that feel slightly off. This constant analysis is not born out of obsession but out of care, because when you have loved something for so long, even small changes matter deeply. Emotionally, this situation has created a strange mix of hope and fear. Hope that what ARMY is sensing is simply a phase, a natural shift that will eventually settle into something just as meaningful as before. Fear that the pressure has reached a point where things cannot return to the way they were, at least not in the same form. And yet, perhaps the most important realization is that relationships do not have to remain static to remain real. Sometimes, the strongest bonds are the ones that survive change, not the ones that resist it. There is also the question of how much of this pressure comes from outside forces rather than from Jungkook and Taehyung themselves. Fame has a way of amplifying everything, turning private moments into public property and personal emotions into shared narratives. When millions of people project their expectations onto a relationship, even silence can feel like a failure to meet those expectations. It is possible that what ARMY perceives as tension is, in part, the result of two individuals trying to protect something private in a world that rarely allows privacy. Still, the emotional weight remains. Fans continue to ask, quietly and respectfully, what is really happening? They wonder if Jungkook and Taehyung are carrying burdens they cannot share, or if they are simply navigating adulthood in ways that look unfamiliar to those watching from the outside. The lack of clear answers does not diminish the concern. It deepens it, because uncertainty often hurts more than truth. As this silent pressure continues to be felt, one thing remains clear. ARMY's connection to Jungkook and Taehyung is rooted in empathy. Fans do not demand perfection or constant reassurance. They want authenticity, even if that authenticity includes moments of distance or quiet struggle. The emotional response to this situation is not about entitlement. It is about care, about wanting the people you admire to be okay, even when you don't fully understand what they are going through. Perhaps the biggest surprise in all of this is not the change itself, but how deeply it has resonated. It has reminded fans that idols are human, that bonds evolve, and that not every story unfolds neatly or publicly. The tension ARMY feels may not be a sign of something breaking, but of something transforming in a way that is still unfinished, still in motion. And so the questions remain, hanging in the air like unfinished sentences. What is truly happening between Jungkook and Taehyung? Is the pressure a sign of strain, or simply the weight of growth under an unforgiving spotlight? Will time bring clarity, or will the silence continue to speak for them? ARMY watches, waits, and feels, holding on to hope while respecting the space that both artists may need. If you've felt this shift too, if you've wondered about the quiet moments and the subtle changes, you're not alone. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let your voice join the many others who care deeply about this story. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay connected as this emotional narrative continues to unfold. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones still being written in silence.